Now, it's been said that as of now, you cannot currently copyright fully AI generated music. Well, I was able to copyright a song that I'm about to release, but I had to do a few things first. And if this is something that you're interested in finding out, stick around. Like I said, you can't copyright fully generated, AI generated music, but there's some things you can do if you want to be able to copyright your composition. Now, this song that I have right here that I'm getting ready to release called Where Would I Be? It's a gospel soul type of song. And how I first came up with this idea, I had nothing more than just a little drum loop I put together and a bass guitar. Now, let me play that drum loop for you that I had came up with along with the bass guitar. Let me see if I got the right one. Okay. All right. Okay. And this is what I fed into Suno to kind of get my baseline composition. Suno only spits out maybe a minute or so, depending on what you put into it. Now, I put it in Suno and I made it a cover and I uploaded my lyrics. I put my lyrics into it and then it generated the rest of the song. And this is what it generated for me. Let me mute my stuff. Let me see if I got all of this. Okay, I did that. Okay. And let me come down to here. All right. And then I gotta mute that. Okay. This is what it gave me.
If it hadn't been for the Lord, I don't know where I would be. If it hadn't been for the Lord, my heart would still be afraid. Oh Lord, you're my stronghold, a fortress where I abide. You care about the little things.
Now, as you can hear from that, it came the beat. If you focus, if you like block out the vocals, the beat is almost similar, but it's not quite on point. So it generated me the song, bass, a whole accompaniment with the singer. And what I did was I downloaded the stems. Now, when you download stems from Suno, they don't sound too hot. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So what I did was I downloaded the stems and I added my bass part back in, my drums, added my drums, added my bass. Let me mute those. All right. And I kept the vocals and some of the piano, but I had to do something with the piano so that I could copyright this thing. I even added some French horns, some flutes, and some other little percussion hits in between. But this is, let me unmute that. Okay. I think I got everything. And I have some strings and whatnot I had to add in there. But this is what I got.
If it hadn't been for the Lord, I don't know where I would be. If it hadn't been for the Lord, my heart would still be afraid. Oh Lord, you're my stronghold, a fortress where I abide. You care about the little things. To you, nothing's too small. You
see, sounds the same, but it's not the same because I'm not using the drums that Suno generated. I'm using my drums right here. I'm using mine. I'm not using the bass that Suno put in. I use my bass that I put in there. And I didn't play the bass guitar. It was bass on the keyboard and a lot of finagling. Now, when Suno generated the song, it also added other parts in there, like other bass transitions that I did not have. And what I did was I used Melodyne to get the notes of that bass, and then I opened up a MIDI keyboard and I dragged it down and it gave me the MIDI notes, and then I rendered it into an audio file. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to solo the part that Suno generated, the bass part they generated, right? Okay, you know, if it's mixed in with everything, it sounds pretty good. But again, I wanted to copyright the musical composition, so I can't use that. And I did this instead. Let me come back a little bit. All right, I did this instead. Real nice. Now let me add everything in that. Let me see for that section. Okay. All right. For that section, this is how that section sounds. I think that's the chorus part here.
If you hadn't found me, I'd still be lost. If you hadn't held me, I'd still be all alone.
Okay. And that's the part I added in there, that bass line in the background, because if I wanted to copyright the composition, I can't have anything that Suno generated. Now, I had to, when I copyrighted my song, I did the lyrics and I did the music minus the vocals, because again, these vocals are generated by AI. And also too, the keyboard, the piano. Now, this is the piano that Suno did. Let me see here. Let me bring it up. Okay, this is the piano that Suno did. Not bad, but again, if I want to copyright my composition, I can't use their stuff. And this is what I did here, right here. Now, my other version is on my Windows PC because I use two PCs to do music with. My Mac, which I'm on now, I use mainly for content creation. But my PC, where I have Melodyne and all those other things, and access to the Alicia Keys plugin, where I was able to, do that MIDI and plug it into that instrument, So I didn't use Presence, even though it sounds okay, right? I didn't use Presence. So for those of you who are still trying to figure out how can I copyright my good ideas, I know I can copyright my lyrics, but man, Suno gave me some good musical ideas along with my own input. This is the best way to do it: is get the music, maybe try, like I said, I started with some drum patterns and a bass line, so whenever Suno generated everything else, it was relatively easy for me to plug my stuff back in because the tempo is the same. And as far as like the accompanying instruments, try to convert the music stuff to MIDI. Now it's kind of tedious. Now, this is an extra I'm getting ready to give you. I just upgraded to Fender Studio 8. And prior to that, the audio to MIDI functions in Studio One wasn't that great. It was very difficult to work with. But I decided to try it for the sake of this video because, man, I went through, trying to get the piano right. over on my other PC, you know, I got everything mixed up and got it sent off and whatnot. But I decided to do it here, and man, they must have made some serious changes to that because it was a lot more accurate. It was a few mistakes, but I had to go in and kind of like push them around a little bit, you know. But again, that's how you could do it. Now, I used Fender Studio. I got to get used to that. Fender Studio 8. I wish they wouldn't have changed that name, but you know what I mean. I don't know if the other DAWs have this feature. I just know Studio One has this feature, and I know there's some third party like Melodyne. Melodyne is pretty good. I use that for stuff like basses. If I would have tried to use it for this piano and use the multi-timbral, you know, when it runs its algorithm, boy, it would have been a nightmare. So anyhow, tell me how you feel about that, and if you're going to be using Suno the way I do. I don't really use Suno as much anymore because of the Warner Brothers acquisition, but I made this song like around May or June of 2025, and I went through a lot trying to get it ready because I didn't want to release it and not own the music, right? Only thing I don't own is the vocal performance. But the music and the lyrics I do so that that's protected, all right? But right now I use Suno just for like if I do some backing vocals or just ideas, but I won't put out anything anymore since that acquisition because I don't want my music to be owned by Warner Music Group. But anyhow, let me know what you think about that. And if you thought that was pretty good, you think that's a good way to get around that copyright thing, which it is because you're actually redoing the work. And I know some people could say, well, you could have just hired some musicians. Yeah, I could have. But, you know, also, too, I use it as a learning aid. And I wanted to see if I could do it. You know, and once I got into it, I got knee deep into it. I had to go full blast on it, and it came out pretty good. And I'm going to be releasing it in spring along with a compilation of other songs I did. Some songs I couldn't copyright the music because it wasn't enough of it that was on my own. This song I was able to copyright, and it's going to be in a compilation called Don Walks Presents the Gospel Soul Experience, and it's going to be out this coming spring. So if you're interested in that, keep your ears and eyes on the lookout for that. And if you dig what I'm saying, give me a thumbs up to help me out with that YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to my channel if you like what I'm doing and whatnot. Please leave a comment below because I really want to hear what you have to say. Till the next time, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.